In connection with the attack on the United States, the Lord told his prophet there would be an attempt to overthrow the country by destroying the Constitution. Joseph Smith predicted that the time would come when the Constitution would hang, as it were, by a thread. And at that time, this people will step forth and save it from the threatened destruction. It is my conviction that the elders of Israel, widely spread over the nation, will at that crucial time successfully rally the righteous of our country and provide the necessary balance of strength to save the institutions of constitutional government. Now is the time for us to get ready.
Welcome to the Nauvoo Legion Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nauvoo Legion Podcast. I'm super excited. Today we have a really cool guest, Jay. I want to welcome Jay for coming on. He hit me up recently when I was just really feeling like, you know what, dude, I don't know about this podcasting thing, man. Like, I'm not sure what's going on here. You know, there's so much. I feel like we're just constantly being flooded with information. And so it's really hard to keep up. But anyways, I wanted to introduce Jay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me on, Christopher. A little bit about myself. So, yes, I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or what you call Mormons. I originally came to this country in 2005. I'm an immigrant, right? But I'm all about, I'm very patriotic, I've been called a lot of things, been called racist, been called a race traitor because, I put the people of American interest first. That's my whole goal with this. And I looked up your podcast and you're doing amazing things. So I'm glad you could have me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And so today we kind of wanted to talk about, well, just diving in with what you're talking about, kind of about the America First movement and mass migration. Because, I mean, if you're getting called racist, man, you got to imagine like me. It's like they think I'm like Hitler or something. I'm like, I just like my country, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's up with this, man. It's like everybody's talking about Hitler, Nazis, and transgenders and World War II. It's like we're like living in like it's inflation. It's like we're in the 1920s in Germany, and I don't know what's going on, dude. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just this random dude on the internet, and so it's like I say something, and then people freak out, and so we're living in such a divisive time that like I don't know, Jay. Why do you think it is like this right now? Like, what's going on in this country?
I think for the first time, especially with the alt-right movement, people are beginning to criticize Trump, like people like in the far right, like Nick Fuentes, who are able to articulate their points. I think for the first time, like white people are actually standing up for their pride, because usually back then, they get insulted, like you guys have no culture, you guys don't have this. Oh, like especially with multicultural events. Look. I'm Hispanic. I appreciate like these multicultural events, but I think they need to be limited to like a private location, right? You got all these cultures like Hispanics, especially the Muslim to prayer call. I truly believe that this is a Christian country, and we need to show respect for our fellow Christian brethren, especially those as immigrants that came here, like myself. Like for example, right? Even my family, I was taught not to pray out in public because we want to show respect for the other Christian denominations. But I think this all stems from like why people are starting to be more united, because I think they're just sick of it. I think they're sick of just being degraded because for a long time, even in the cartoons, like if you look at it's the bumbling dad, like they look down on the white man especially, right? They praise the white woman, and they are pro all immigration. They want to bring all these Hispanics, all these things. But like, the thing is now, especially in the world, I believe the white population is like 7%. We're starting to become a minority in the world now, which is kind of insane because if you look, Kai Schwimmer said this in a podcast, right? There's been in this, I think this Indian guy, right? He mentioned he was having a debate where like this Indian guy said, the American dream, which to say he was explaining that like the American dream is to come here, opportunity, equality for all, so they can make money and start sending money back to their families. And I agreed with Kai when it came to this because At that point, it's just economics, and a nation's more than economics. You're a people, your heritage, your culture. And when people say don't have white culture, bro, we literally invented and created. No, we have no way, but like you guys created the best civilizations
Well,
ever known
are
to
you
man.
mestizo?
Mestizo?
Yeah, are you
But
like have any European, you know? Because
I don't think so. I haven't, I
really,
haven't, I haven't, I haven't tried.
you should take a
Like,
test.
but should take a test.
I'm like,
But
because you
like,
probably got some in there. But yeah, to your point.
eh, yeah. But going offshore, like a nation cannot just be summed down to economic benefits, right? It's all about culture and identity. It's a people, and once that people starts to be replaced, then it's no longer the same country it was. Like when Kai Sharma was debating that young Indian guy, he asked, what if Ukraine had more open borders and then a bunch of Japanese went there and then eventually, like they're having kids and then eventually over time Ukraine ceased to exist. Will it still be Ukraine? No, not really, because Japanese and Ukrainians are culturally differently. They view things very differently. Ukraine is more of Christian background, and Japan is more, I think, more on the secular side. So they view things very differently, and the culture completely changes.
Hmm. Yes. And this is a point that I've tried to bring up to people. Like, if you go to Japan and you replace all, kind of to what you're saying, if you replaced all the Japanese people in Japan with Mexicans or Indians, would it still be Japan? No,
Nah.
dude, it would be something completely different. The land would be there, but is a people just is a country or a nation just land and just an idea? And so I think what's happening is you're starting to see what happened. This is what truly happened. And most people aren't ready for the truth. So this podcast is going to offend a lot of people. It is going to cause a lot of uproars and stirs, but we can't avoid it, bro. And so I'm really glad that you came on, Jay, because like when people hear me talk about these things, they automatically think that I want to um, hurt people that aren't of my same genetics, of my same, color, and they automatically assume that I want to genocide people, which makes no sense. I'm just like, no, I just want to protect my nation. But to your point, if you replace, a country with a completely new people, it's not going to be the same thing anymore, right? Like with the Japan example, right? You replace all the Japanese, you put them with Mexicans or Indians there. It's now something new, right? It's now something different. And so that's what's happening on a national scale currently in the United States of America. Up until 1965, all of the immigration that was coming to the United States of America was primarily from European countries. Now, of course, we did have blacks, right? Like they came from that were brought over on slave ships, and that was a terrible, horrible wrong that happened that shouldn't have happened. And we fought an entire war over it, right? And like 600,000 mostly white men died to end slavery. And by the way, we're the first ones to do it. Well, the English, I should say the British, they were really the first ones to do it. Like no other slavery has existed in every other culture, right? For example, and actually people don't know this, but the word slave actually comes from the word Slav, right? So the Slavs are from Europe, and they were also enslaved. Like over 1 million white people were enslaved, right? But they don't teach you that in history, right? They don't tell you about how the Muslims came and enslaved a bunch of Europeans, right? Or how blacks were enslaving other blacks. And so what we have is we're living in a nation where we have multiculturalism, and we've sort of lost what the American identity really is. And so I wanted to ask you, Jay, kind of your opinion on that, on defining what is an American, because you said something interesting to me. You talked about the American dream, and this is something I get to hear from immigrants all the time. But to me, when they talk about the American dream, there's nothing American about it. It's the Venezuelan dream. It's the Chinese dream. It's the Afghani dream. It's the Mexican dream. It's the whatever nation dream they come from, right? And then they'll say this, immigrants built this country, right, from the ground up, right? And it's like, wait a second, what about my ancestors that got here 400 years ago when there was nothing, there was no roads paved, there was no government buildings? Like, I thought they were the ones that built it, right? And so it's just these kind of, that's kind of the narrative I guess I've been hearing from the Hispanic community is like, is that immigrants, that they are the reason this country is great. They, even though they just got here maybe a couple years ago, they're the reason this country is great. And then also that an American is whatever they want it to be. And so I'm just really curious on those 2 points, on your opinion. What is an American? And like, are immigrants the ones that make this country great? Are they, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So that was a lot. So real quick,
sorry, that was a lot. Yeah.
yeah. So when I came to America, I was mostly so like I don't even because I came when I was 5 years old, right? So I was basically raised in America. When we first migrated, we were living with my parent, we were living with our cousins, and then eventually we got our own house, right? And our
Yeah.
neighbors with a bunch of like I was in a suburb, majority white, right? So that's what I thought the American dream is, adjusting to the culture because there is a reason why we left our countries, right? Because the cultures are nice, maybe like the nice, like the food, the family, but there's a reason why those cultures, everyone is trying to come to
Oh
America.
yeah, and
And it's kind of ironic, right?
I just want to insert
Yeah,
here
what's
really
up?
quick. Like, dude, I love like other cultures. Like, I love Mexican food. I love the music, the norteño music. It actually comes from Germany. That's probably why I love it so much. But anyways, my point is like, it's great. So the points I'm trying to make are not against any culture. It's just to add to what you're saying.
Yes, of course. And like I said before, I think those culture practices should be practiced in like not publicly, but like within church institutions where they have multicultural events and stuff like that, because we want to kind of preserve the culture of the American culture. And what is that exactly, right? What exactly is it? What I think it is, is like, when I grew up, like, especially when I was a little kid, like strangers who would say hi, like the white picket fence, family units, like it was. And in school, like they even taught us a little bit of how it was like pre-World War II, right? Like everything was fine before, feminism got introduced, and that's a whole nother disaster. But that's where the family unit in the American culture started to die off when feminism was really introduced. America's strongest was when the nuclear family was the strongest. Like the one normal job could pay for a house, a car, and you were fine. Nowadays, because of feminism, it doubled the workload. So like the laborers are like, we're gonna charge twice for everything. The houses are double the price. Now it's really hard now. And the American culture is really adjusting. Is the problem is people are not properly assimilating, and that is the biggest issue right now, right? Like, it's funny because once Trump initiates like you need to learn English, it's crazy. But like it's crazy how like the past presidents, you come in like Obama once said, you come into this country illegally, you'll get the boot, right? Even Hillary Clinton said you will learn English, right?
Hmm.
And the problem with all of this is like, and going back to real quick what you said, like, oh, immigrants built this country. That's incorrect. I would like to say settlers created built this country. I'm not saying like Hispanics didn't put some part. Same with the African Americans when the slave routes were about. But the ones who really built the country and built the foundation, which was the hardest part, were the settlers from Europe, right? The founding fathers put down the Constitution, and we use it to this day. There's a reason why America is one of the best countries in the world right now, and I think we need to preserve that cultureness. Preserve that. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna say it, dude. Like white power is, at least the culture is superior to almost everything. Almost everything. It's so superior, and I hate to say that, dude. I get called a bigot because it's funny because all these people, I saw this on Ella Malding's story, right? It's funny how people complain about white people. Oh, white people are so bad. White people this, and that. But you look at all the countries they're fleeing. to go live in white civilizations.
Yeah.
And
It's like
they're trying to
the only countries they're immigrating to are the white ones. But then if I have any pride in who I am, I'm a
you're a
racist. I'm
Nazi.
instantly a Nazi. I'm Hitler. And so guess what? I found out, all right, guess I am, dude. Turns out my great great grandfather immigrated from Germany, okay? Fought for the Germans in World War One. So it just woke me up. I said, what's with all this? Um, and I realized, there's nothing wrong with me having pride in my culture. Obviously, I condemn all atrocities. I condemn all, you know, I don't look at dude. When I meet somebody, I treat them as an individual, right? Even if they're not white. Look, I treat them as a unique individual. I don't automatically assume things, but I also can't ignore some of the facts of what you're saying, right? About how people that are coming to this country aren't assimilating to the culture. And we don't preserve that, if we don't preserve what we built, we'll lose it, right? If you're
You
not
know,
learn, yeah,
I'll stop you right there. I will tell you why it is this way because back at least when I was in high school, even before I was in like elementary school, used to be able to say you're this and that, dude. We need to bring bullying back again. Dude, I swear,
make
because
bullying
legit
great again.
everyone's dude. Everybody is way too soft, right?
Yeah,
Of course, like like back then you used to say, "Oh, you're gay." Now you say that, "Oh, frick, you get a week of suspension now." Which is ridiculous. Like jokes, they're just jokes, and the
yeah,
problem is words. People are getting offended to words. This is my thing. When people get offended at words and they start protesting and crying about it, this is what I say. Do you have electricity? Do you have water? Do you have all your limbs working? You could be like the Palestinian. You can be like the Palestinian kids, which is the genocide going on over there, by the way. You can be hungry right now. All they worry about is when they're gonna get their next meal or if they're gonna live to see the next day. Versus us, dude. People are jumping off bridges. Like, what's going on in America, bro? Dude,
yeah,
this is the best it gets. And
yep,
I find it so ridiculous that people are like crying over words, bro. I'm serious, dude. If you're crying over words, bro, you got way bigger problems to worry about. Because if you do intend to be a father, how you gonna be that role model for your wife and kids? You need to be that rock, that solid rock. Controversial take. Men need to lead the households, and it's crazy to say it's controversial. I'm very biblical in the family household. The man needs to lead. The man needs to be the sturdy rock, the foundation. You need to be the leader, right? And I started seeing this more often. As I grew up, I didn't really notice it, but now, like, see how kids look up to like Superman, yeah, Spider-Man. Dude, I want my kids to look like I'm Spider-Man, like I'm the
yeah,
superhero. That's why, like I see these like and America has an obesity problem. It's ridiculous. Like being weight is a choice. It's gonna offend a lot of people. It is what it is. You're not gonna please anybody. But being overweight is a choice. Because you look at all these countries where they don't they have all the foods just like us. Like let's look at all the other first world countries like Ukraine. The only obesity problem is here in the US. And what's the number one death in America? Heart disease
heart disease, yeah,
by
yeah,
far. And the thing is, like, I rather offend somebody that I care about. Of course, I'm not just gonna be like, "Hey, you fat piece of crap." Like, I'm not gonna like demean him, but like, I'm gonna be completely honest. Bro, you're getting overweight, bro. Like, we should probably do something. Like as because I care about them. I rather offend you than not say anything, and next thing you know, you're in an emergency room because you're in the middle of having a heart attack.
yeah. And that's where I'm at too, man. Like with everything I'm saying, like I only say the things I say because I think they're true, or I'm still trying to find the truth. And so I'm having these conversations that other people aren't having, right? Like I'm still trying to figure, look, dude, I'm a young man, okay, in my early 20s, so still figuring things out. But I think what you said is very important. In America, because we've become so prosperous, right? Because we have so much, we've gotten away from that foundation that made us great. Away, and now it's almost like we're trying to burn it down. And there's a lot of people that want to burn it down, right? And really, I think I was talking to Another immigrant friend I have, she's from Cuba. So she lived through communism, right? Like she saw communism. That was her everyday reality. And then her speaking on what's happening right now is showing that instead of like what they did in Cuba, right, was they used the classes to divide each other, right? That's what communism is about, right? Like we want to make everybody equal so that everybody can have enough, right? Well, what all it does is make everybody equal and equally poor, right? And so, but what we've done in America, because we have so many things and we're so prosperous, instead of making it about like classes or being poor, or the poor versus the rich, right? This clash of the clash of social groups, we've done it by race. Is now what that's what the communists are doing now, is they're using race and these other different things to divide Americans and culture, to divide us, to destroy that foundation, destroy the foundation of liberty, right? And I think it goes back to, as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, if you are a member, you believe in the Book of Mormon. And what's one of the most central ideas of the Book of Mormon? That the secret combinations and the Gadiantons eventually destroyed the American government, right? The Nephite Republic, right? That's what happens before Christ comes, right? In the Book of Mormon, is the government gets destroyed and they all divide up into tribes. And we're kind of seeing a similar pattern today. Would you say so?
I'd say it's interesting how the secret combinations work because, it's like if you don't study your history, you're doomed to repeat it again. And of course, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as well. So I believe in these things. And like, I just want to give the comparison of history, right? If you don't study or like at least learn about what happens in World War One, what were the mistakes, World War Two, what were the mistakes, even the Iraq. Like, for example, I think the whole Iran thing is the us attacking Iraq 2.0. We're just getting involved for no reason.
Yep.
We are literally, I'm gonna say it right now, it's probably gonna get in trouble. Dude, we're fighting this in behalf of Israel. Low key, like America gets no benefit. Sure, we're gonna topple the regime, but just like Charlie Kirk said, it's our fault that we radicalized them. And a lot of people don't know.
Well,
Oh,
Jay, they're the chosen people. We have to send them billions of dollars a year. If we don't, then Jesus Christ isn't going to come back. If we keep sending Israel billions of dollars, then they're going to bring Jesus back and he's going to save us and they're going to build the third temple. So we have to send them money and we need to bomb more Palestinian kids because each Palestinian kid that we sacrifice is another day closer to Jesus returning. Right? Am I right?
yeah, you're right. And like, dude, you know what? You're absolutely right. It's not like their book where they treat us like animals, right? It's like they believe that Jesus Christ is burning in excrement. Like, whoa, it's like, are they really the chosen people? Like, you're starting to see more people waking up. The one who really paid the price for it was Nicholas J. Fuentes. He's the one that paid the price, just a 18, 19-year-old kid, go watch his show. He has an amazing story. He done podcasts with PBD. He's done podcasts with Fresh and Fit. He's done so many podcasts where his story, from where Ben Shapiro tried to shut him down, and he did for a time, but he endured all of that. Now it's popular to talk about it, right? And the problem with Israel and like the Schofield Bible, especially the thing Ted Cruz so-called quotes, oh, they're the chosen people. A lot of people don't know the origins of Israel, right? It was because if you're going to call Iran a terrorists, which by definition they are, by the FBI definition is forcing a political movement by force. That's literally the definition of terrorist. I can't
So
double check that.
it sounds like it could be any government organization almost.
Mhm.
That
Yes,
definition, by that definition. It's so
but
general.
yeah, it's so general. But if you're like, because a lot of people like to say Iran's a terrorist organization, but if you're gonna apply that to Iran, then Israel has done way more atrocities than Iran has ever done. Because like the only reason Hamas and Hezbollah were formed is because of the defense, is because Israel is reckless. That's why Hamas was formed. A lot of people don't know that. And like, who are the IDF? They were the Stern Gang, the Haganah, and there was one more paramilitia gang, and they rebranded into the IDF that
Mm-hmm.
that you currently know as Israel right now. A lot of
Correct me.
people don't know that.
correct me if I'm wrong, but they are the ones that did the King David hotel bombing
Exactly. No.
back in the day.
Hmm.
No one knows about that, but like a bunch of British, like the British used to have control over Palestine, and those organizations that became the IDF like they're the ones that like basically created terrorism in the first place of like randomly bombing different places and things like that to achieve political ends, and it worked. I mean, and then
And if you
we don't talk about how they the USS Liberty, how they intentionally attacked one of our ships, and killed a bunch of sailors, but many of them survived and lived to tell the tale. American soldiers killed on purpose by the Israeli military so that they could do a false flag attack to try to get us into another war, to help them in their war.
Yeah, and it's kind of ridiculous. I think people, especially our generation, because we're both in our 20s, they're starting to wake up, especially the younger generation. Honestly, with these upcoming midterms, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump got impeached. Last time he got impeached, bullcrap.
Yep.
Yeah, that was just bullcrap. But now I think Trump is cooked, man. Because what did he vote on? He went on being transparent. He kind of wrecked himself with the Epstein files. No new wars. Iraq 2.0, and mass deportations. Bro, he's barely deporting any people. Like Obama deported more people in his first term,
Yeah.
and like the fact that he is going back on his word, and like a lot of people are just not seeing the MAGA movement anymore.
Yeah, no, totally. It seems like everything that he promised, he's now gone back on, right? Like the whole thing he was campaigning on was like going against, I'm gonna drain the swamp. Yeah, I'm gonna drain the swamp. Well, what does he do when he gets in there? He helps cover up the Epstein files, right? And then he straight up lies to us about it. Oh, they're a Democrat hoax. Oh, they don't exist. And then and so I think a lot of people are waking up to who Trump really is. And this is coming, I voted for the guy, right? Like I wanted him to win and I was excited. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get mass deportations, we're gonna put America first. And then everything he's done since he got into office has been to help the people with the little tiny hats in the little tiny country in the Middle East. And it's like, what
And
about
yeah,
America?
it's
What
crazy.
about us?
Yeah, and you're starting to see is like, even in the law, if you ask any special agent, FBI, CIA, follow the money and you'll pretty much know where everything's getting linked to. It's weird that like, all these other countries, Qatar, Saudi, when they're sending money over, they're getting sending money to US citizens here. They have to register on the FARA.
Hmm.
APAC is the only exception. APAC is the only exception, but why? And like you see, like even when Trump, like you said, the donors, he said he's gonna drain the swamp. He started trolling one of the I think forgot what his name was, but he went super viral. Is like they were booing when Trump was running for the 2016, and then he's like, those are his donors and special interests. He's like, I'm the only one that
Oh,
has the
I
money
think
to
was
fund
that Jeb
myself.
Bush?
Yeah, it was Jeb
Yeah,
Bush.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, frick. It's like, I vote, like I was for Trump in 2016. I didn't vote for him in 2024. Don't worry, I didn't vote for Kamala either. I just didn't vote because I knew this was going to happen. I knew he
Yeah.
was going to pull.
Do you know who
And
said it? It was Nick. Like
Nick Fuentes,
Nick
the most
Fuentes, he called
vindicated
it.
man.
He called it, dude.
Yo, bro.
He said this is what he said. Trump's gonna back down on deportations. He said there's gonna be an Iran war. Like he called all of this stuff. And so the dude's kind of in some sense undeniable with some things.
Sure.
And
And this is a problem, especially in our church. And I kind of understand why, because, people like Myron Gaines or Emmer, what's it called? Yeah, people like Myron Gaines, Nick Fuentes, who are like the main pushers for this awakening. A lot of people, especially in the church, because we're told to lay down a weapon of wars, not speak prerogatively, like not pour gas on the fuel. And this is the problem with most members because
be
they tend to like,
peacemakers, right?
yes, and that's fine. That's fine. Being peacemakers, like the way we're not degrading anybody, like, oh, but they're just trolling in a way. But like we need to like the issue is because they hear with their emotions. They're like, "Oh, my virgin ears." It's like, "Oh my gosh!" It's like, it's like listen to the what the message is being conveyed. And I know it can be difficult for most members because unfortunately we live in an echo chamber, most of us, because it's like, not gonna lie, Myron's kind of right with the women. It's kind of right because like in the majority of seamstress, because in the church generally girls, I like to say I've never had a bad experience, but that's just my own experience, right? But like most of the world is secular. Most of the world is not Christian. Most of the world is not. They're secular, right? They say they're Christian, but they're doing other things because the natural man is. It's easy to do that. So why would people do that? It's like now that unfortunately Charlie Kirk was horribly assassinated. I think that more people are starting to wake up, starting to like become more Christian, and I notice a lot of our age they're becoming more conservative, more centered with Christ, and I think that's good. But like we need to like stay sturdy and strong and kind of understand what the message, why is he saying that, and what the information, instead of paying attention how it's said, pay attention to what is being said and what the goal is. Because what's Nick's motive with saying all this hyperbole, saying all these things about Israel? It's the he wants the old America back,
Yeah.
just like Myron. Even though he's Middle Eastern, he's a true patriot. He's an American patriot.
Can you
I
explain
would
that
say
to
it. I would,
Can you explain that to me?
yeah.
It's like it's so funny, bro. Like I feel like so many of the Wang halves are like not even white, bro. It's so funny, bro. Like for all of our audience, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Cause you know what? I'm that guy. I'm just that white ass nigga going hard as fuck. So you get an honorary Wang half title, bro. I'm giving you a Wang half title. You deserve
All
it.
right.
So you can be white too. So can Myron.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's funny because I'm in Myron's OSS 300 Telegram where we do daily meetups and meet up with Myron in the studio. And it's funny because a majority of us are Hispanics, which is weird because like it's Hispanics and like the next majority is whites because the Hispanics get it for the most part, right? They're like very grateful, at least the people
I
that we're
feel like
surrounded
it's
by.
like I feel like most of I don't know, this is kind of my opinion, but I feel like most of the Hispanic community, they're just kind of asleep. Like they're just kind of doing like a lot of like all the immigrants here coming here, they're just here to make a bunch of money. And if they can go home to their country, then they want to go home to their country. They're just economic opportunists. And I don't blame them for doing that. Right? Like Biden allowed that situation to happen. So I don't blame anybody for taking advantage of that. Right? Like our politicians lied to them and sold them all this stuff. And then all this free stuff basically was kind of the idea. And so they all came here. So I feel like for a lot of the Hispanic community, they're asleep. But then I also feel like some of the people like yourself who've been here for a while are like also are like, I, oh, very awake. Right. Like I would say if I had to put a percentage, I'm just guessing here, I'd say about like 66, like 2/3 are probably just totally asleep to what's going on. And maybe there's a third of Hispanics that are like, just like you do. And they're like, and it's the only thing that gives me really hope is that because otherwise I'm like, if we don't have more people like you who just wake up and see the truth for what it is and don't get offended at the truth, then I actually think we could save this country. But if we can't awaken the masses to what's to our awful situation, as the Book of Mormon puts it, then we're screwed.
Yeah, and another big thing is like it's like assimilation used to be a big thing, and we need to put more focus on that thing. I feel like as American people, especially with the whole retarded thing with Bad Bunny, the whole thing is like Spanish artists. Look, I don't watch football, not a sports guy, but NFL is probably one of the most American things you can do. Like I even listened to some Bad Bunny songs. It is what it is. I like the beat, whatever.
I get
But
it. I get
that
it.
should be that should be like, for American. I don't like country, but I think a country singer should have like should have sang like that. Like I find it so ridiculous because like we said we were talking about before, it's only Hispanics that like look at all these. You got Hispanic Heritage Month, you got Asian Heritage Month, you got all Black History Month. But gosh forbid, white culture, like the most we get is what, 4th of July, and they barely said, oh, other immigrants help. This is the problem. Whites are not allowed to practice their pride, and rightfully so. They should be upset, right? And it's unfortunate, but we need to take assimilation more seriously.
Yeah. How do you think we can do that? Because I feel like, uh, you know, I mean, I think something that's important is that we have good information because I know something I fall prey to is just I'm very passionate, right, about my beliefs. And so sometimes that can, while I think I understand the true principles, I also have to be careful and make sure I'm getting good information fed to me. And so an example is like with the immigration issue, right? Like currently, like during the Biden administration, I got to personally see, I was on the border, I was a missionary. So I got to see, I was in McAllen, Texas, Laredo, Texas. I guess I'm outing myself, whatever. It's part of who I am now. But I saw people crossing, right? Like I saw this stuff with my own eyes. I lived it on a day-to-day basis. And I watched this, and then I came home and I watched as my own state how hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans and more Mexicans had come and immigrated to this country. Some of them legally, but probably most of them illegally, or just through this weird way that Biden kind of brought them all in. And so I'm noticing this and I'm seeing this, how this is changing my country, right? Like, and I think data is important because we need to understand, like, we're on a path as a country, right? Like, we're going in a certain direction as a country. And so we need to have good data so we can understand what that direction is and where that's going to take us in the long term, what the long-term outcome is. So what is the long term of all this mass migration, right? Because from what Trump had said a few months ago was that there was about 55 million people here on visas, right? So those are 50 plus million people here on visas. From my own estimations, I guess it's around 30 to 40 million people here illegally. So and it's kind of hard to say, right? Like those numbers, it's kind of hard to get exact numbers on everything. But if we can get some sort of picture, I think that's important. The Biden administration openly admitted 400,000 people, that over 400,000 people had previous criminal records. They allowed those people into the country. And they say about 12 million people in the 4 years that Biden was president, his administration allowed about 12 million people to like come to this country illegally. So that was the fastest and most amount of immigration that has ever happened to the United States in our entire history. And everywhere I go, I've like noticed how it's changed things. And so I think it goes back to the assimilation issue of like, I think the hard part is for these people to assimilate, it's happening at such a rate that is so fast, the mass migration, that is not happening. The assimilation isn't happening. Like people aren't learning English, they know, and it's a difference of mentality because the immigrants that used to come to this country had a different mentality. They were here to come and learn English and become an American, right? And now when then you get all these people that just flood your country suddenly, a lot of these people, and again, they're not bad people, there's a lot of good people. There are a lot of really good immigrants, but they're not assimilating and they're not learning our culture, our history. And so I think that's also causing a lot of the divide that we're seeing in our nation. I mean, we basically already had a civil war in Minnesota, and you know what happened? Trump backed down on it. So I don't know. That was a lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
just
you're
take
fine. So
over.
yeah,
It's
there's a
just
lot. Yeah.
there's a lot. Yeah.
So this is my response to the whole immigration.
Yeah, and assimilation,
And
maybe
and
specifically, you could address
so
that.
the whole issue with migration, and I'm gonna say this, and for the viewers, please have common sense. When common sense is common, please understand that I'm Hispanic and I get it. So we need to stop immigration completely. We need to figure out and rework because there's so many loopholes, especially billionaires like Elon Musk take advantage of the H-1B visas, which allows them to basically majority of the H-1B visas are Indian. It is what it is, but they pay them cheap wages so they don't have to give those good wages to Americans, and that's another problem. Another problem is we need to stop migration, and you can blame the past left states for open borders for that. You can blame them, but it's their fault. But we need to officially close the border. And people are gonna say, "Well, Jay, you came to this country. Does that mean you should get kicked out? Is your parents kicked out?" No, that does not mean that. It's like we're already here. I would like to say I'm one of the exception Hispanics that assimilated properly.
Yeah.
And it's like we need to stop and rework this and focus on the American citizens that are here. Focus on the vets. It's funny because, if you look at the benefits of Israel, free healthcare, everything, like when they want to go to college. Dude, they have so many more benefits that we don't even have, and we're sending what $3.8 billion to them on top of other things that we do to them, like the
Top of all the
like the
military
Buster bomb.
aid and yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I think it's ridiculous because like it's literally Israel first. No, dude, I am America first. Like we need to take care of our own people. We need to make sure that young men are able to afford houses. We need better wages. And like I get it. It's a tough thing. It's like I'm not saying like, oh, you're gonna work at McDonald's and like freaking afford a house. No, work your very hardest and you'll be rewarded. But on top of that, I want the government to recognize that and say, hey, like we need to put our people first. I'm sorry, as me being a Hispanic, I'm an American citizen. Then shout out to my mom because she took the test right before I turned 18. Would have passed it anyway. I don't think that was that hard. But we need to prioritize Americans because Americans, they're even Fishback, the runner, he's running for
James Fishback. Yeah,
governor, James Fishback. There's a white genocide going on. There is a serious white genocide going on, and I find it ridiculous. People like Nick Foot, oh, he's a white supremacist. No, he's just proud of his culture, just like we said. And that's my whole issue with the immigration. And I'm also against mass legal immigration. I know that's a hot take for me, but like
that's a
it's
hot
like
take, man. Cut for somebody that came to this country. That's a hot take. I mean, you know,
yeah. And the reason why it goes back to the whole Ukraine with Kai Schwimmer. Shout out to him, man. He's a homie, number one.
shout out to
I call him
Kai.
I call him the Mormon Charlie Kirk.
Oh yeah,
That guy's so nice. But it goes back to the same thing. America will not be the same if we're displaced by a bunch of immigrants. So we need to cut down. We need to wait till people properly assimilate, and we need to set out what we're gonna do. What is the plan for an assimilation? Once we get that on the cover, we get a crime down because who commits the most of the crimes despite being a minority of the population? No one wants to say. It's the African Americans. I'm not saying it's all. I'm not saying it's all, but there's a good amount of watermelon warriors that cannot stop committing crime.
yeah.
It is what it is. And I'm not saying all. There's like, dude, like you can take an example like Myron. You can take Talmud Tatum. I forgot what his name is. Myron used to call him Talmud Tatum. Officer Tatum. Like he's one of the
Yeah.
exceptions. He gets it. That's why like
Jesse
America, like
Peterson. I don't know if you've seen that.
exactly that guy too. Is like
He's a G. Shout
you
out.
are especially in America, you live in the best country in the world. You have all the opportunity to literally be the best version of yourself. There's nothing limiting you. The whole DEI hire, bullcrap, the whole pandering, oh, like inequality, systemic racism. The racism doesn't really exist in the US, bro. It's like if you really put your mind to it, work hard, work 60 to 80 hours, you will go far. If you work hard in the US country, you will be rewarded. But if you start, playing too much video games, you start slobbing, become fat, you kind of pay consequences for that. So there is absolutely no excuse. And a lot of people will say, dude, it's a choice to be poor. I'm just gonna say it, bro. There's too many people abusing welfare and stuff like that. And even shout out to Nick Shirley, bro. That guy, he's one of us, one of the LDS. He's exposing the Somali fraud. Now he's going to California. And what's crazy? There's another guy named Tyler Olivella. He's exposing fraud in New Jersey. It's the little hat people. And what happened? Patreon shut down within a couple days. Who owns Patreon? Well. We all know who owns Patreon. And it's crazy because if you look at the most degenerate stuff, you look at alcohol, you look especially there's nothing I hate more than pornography. I hate pornography. Who is falling in like especially with the recent OnlyFans CEO passing away. It's like where's that money going to?
By the way, he's one of the biggest donors to APAC. The OnlyFans CEO
Yeah.
was before God struck him down with cancer.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like I'm not saying like, he deserves to die, but like, it's like
Right.
unfortunately he made some terrible choices and God bless his soul. Hopefully a little goes easy on him, but like it goes to show life can be taken like that in a way. And it's important because we're only in this world for a little amount, and what we do in this world matters. I think the world is losing their integrity. I think people are doing what's right when people are looking, but when they're not looking, they do what's easy.
Yeah.
They're following the flesh. They're following mammon, as we call it. They're following the flesh, and we need to resist that. We need to resist that because it doesn't matter how good you are, how good of a goy all of us can be, how how good we are. We fall short to the glory of God, which is nothing we can do. It's only because of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, and and He paid that ultimate price for all of us. So the least we can do is do our best to become the best Christians we can. And a
Amen.
lot of people say, it's like Christians, oh, you guys are so perfect. No, a good Christian is one who makes mistakes and recognizes those mistakes and gets better, not makes that mistake and dwells in that mistake. That's what we call it saints. That's why they call us members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because we are saints. We fall short of the glory of God, but we must understand that, repentance is a thing and to be taken seriously.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I agree. I'm with you on all that. And I just wanted to kind of finish with um maybe some of the issues that you're talking about within the church. Because I'll be honest, dude, sometimes I feel just like so isolated and so distant, even though I'm like right here in the middle of it in Utah, from the church, because I feel like, and like, we have a great prophet. Like, Don H. Oaks is awesome, dude. He's saying a lot of important things. Like, one of the most important things he said, I think, was this issue about what's going on in the United States. He said, in the United States, we are suffering from a deterioration in marriage and childbearing. For nearly 100 years, the proportions of households headed by married couples has declined, and so has the birth rate. The marriage and birth rates of our church members are much more positive, but they have also declined significantly. It is vital that Latter Saints do not lose their understanding of the purpose of marriage and the value of children. That is the future for which we strive. Exaltation is a family matter. President Nelson has taught us only through the saving ordinances of the gospel of Jesus Christ can families be exalted. Um, and then he says the national declines in marriage and childbearing are understandable for historic reasons, but Latter-day Saint values and practices should improve, not follow those trends. So I think that's one of the greatest problems facing America too. Is like, for example, like no one's having kids, and and I think that's especially important for like what's happening with the white people in America, but also just in general, like with blacks and Asians. The only ones that having kids are Hispanics. So in the future, it's probably going to be Hispanic majority country, especially with what we're talking about with immigration. Um, and the other issue was what you brought up with feminism and pornography, right? And so I kind of want to finish with that maybe as as the focal point of our conversation, because we talked a lot about a lot of different things, but I think that's one of the greatest. What President Oak says there is the greatest threat to our country. Because if we're not having kids, like if white people don't start having kids, we literally just won't exist. And it's the same with like the European countries that aren't having kids. And one of the greatest attacks on the family has been pornography, right? And so one of the guys who basically made it legal in the United States, his name was Al Goldstein, okay? And you can look this up on Wikipedia, okay? This is his own words. He said, and it's important to understand that ethnically, he's the same ethnicity as Ben Shapiro. I'll just say that. He's the same ethnicity as Ben Shapiro. If you know what Ben Shapiro does, then you'll understand what I'm saying. But this is what Al Goldstein said. He said, the only reason that the little hats are in pornography is that we think that Christ sucks. Catholicism sucks. We don't believe in authoritarianism. Pornography thus becomes a way of defiling Christian culture as it penetrates to the very heart of the American mainstream. And it is no doubt consumed by those very same white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christians. Its subversive character becomes more charged. And if you want to know a little bit more, you can go look that quote up on Wikipedia for Al Goldstein. So, and if you look at who owns the industry, currently it is a man named Solomon Friedman. He also, I don't think he wears a little hat, but he he went to RABBI school. So, and now he's running this site, right? And so it's like this evil is being pushed at, all for money and profit. And it's completely destroying American society. And so I think for me, one of the biggest great awakenings I had for me was like, well, do I have that in my own life? And I did. And I had to go through a process to get it out of my life. Right. And I think any man who's honest within the church can say that to some extent. And so I feel like until we as a church can awaken to, because dude, I bet you like 50% of the dudes in the church are like jerking off. I'm just sorry to be so like blunt, but like beating it and watching these sites, bro, and then going to church. And it's like, we can't be doing that, guys. Guys, like we got to wake up if we want to fight the evil in our country. If you can't even stop beating it, bro, like get some help, bro. Like go to the gym, like like we gotta do something different, okay? Like no wonder we're so weak. If you can't stop
Yo,
looking at your phone, bro, then like get some help, okay? Comment below.
man,
I know a lady who will help you, who's a therapist, a hypnotherapist that will help you. So, but yeah, I think that's
yeah.
probably the biggest issue within the church because it's like if we want to make a difference, we got to wake up our own community. And sometimes I don't like that because I don't want to be because I'm just like, come on, guys, like, can I just say it how it is? And sometimes we have to take a slightly different approach. So sorry, I'll shut up and I don't know.
No. You're good, man. You're good. That was all, dude. That was amazing. That was spot on. So this is how I view pornography. I think pornography, if you don't consider pornography evil, there is something genuinely wrong, or you just don't know, right? And pornography is, of course, it mostly affects men, and it is men's fault why it is $1 billion industry. But this is the problem, right? Especially with the church and the relationships. I think Charlie Kirk said it perfectly. Women have started to become more manly, and men have started to become more womanly, right? What do I mean by that? Women are kind of sick and tired of this now, especially, I think, especially in the church now. Like, men are not being gentlemen at the same time because they're both like, it's like attack of the genders, right? Like the woman is tired of being like the leader, and then the man is like, he's complacent, he's lazy, like you said, he's jerking off, and we need to attack the problem. The main problem with men right now is pornography and gluttony right now.
Yeah.
And those, I would say, those are the main 2 points for men, and I would say for women is not. Charlie, I'm gonna get
Say
a
it.
lot of heat for this, but dude, is like women need to be more godly and more biblical, right? For example, right? The men are told in the church you're to protect and to provide. That is a big deal. And when you say something like a wife's role is to obey her husband, it was like, whoa. But I think every man, at least a girlfriend, when you guys are dating, you should start heading to that mentality, because in our church we date to marry, correct? I'm not saying
Right.
like bow down or make him a meal, but like, it's like, let's say you're both applying at a law firm, and like, let's say you're trying to get an what's it called, a promotion, right? You're not gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go above and beyond. And I think if men took the role seriously and went above and beyond, and if women did the same, we would see some kind of unity. But unfortunately, this is what it is. Pornography and feminism are the root cause of all of this. Because there's a reason why the serpent decided to go to Eve first. Because
Yep.
this women are just more persuaded. That's why a bunch of commercials persuade women. That's why, like, Gillette commercial did a commercial degrading men, and like, dude, they didn't do anything. Can you just imagine if Victoria's Secret went like, "Hey, women, stop sleeping around, stop being so loose around the streets, be more chaste," dude. Victoria's Secret would go bankrupt tomorrow. And this is the problem. You cannot criticize women, but you can criticize men all the time. And I'm not trying to put like, oh, I'm downgrading women, stuff like that. I'm trying to bring the nuclear family back. That's my main goal. The nuclear
Right.
family is the heart and the goal of a striving economic country. That's it.
And that's
Like
why they've
showing like you got
attacked it.
people. Yeah, they know because like they're gonna have lots of babies. They're gonna teach your ideas to them, and the enemy or the Matrix cannot have that. They cannot have that. And this is the problem, right? And like women and men are at a standpoint, especially in the church. I'd say it's not as bad as in the church, but there's a lot of undercover feminists in the church, and like you said, there's a lot of guys just being the me. Like it's like insane. And even on the mission, it's gone bad. And with the mission, real quick, I want to talk about this real quick. I think the
Yeah.
mission has gone too soft. With the
Yes.
introduction to social media, I genuinely think it was more bad than good. Like sure we're reaching more people, but like there's been a lot more people getting sent home. I think it's more worse than bad. Yeah, even myself, I was on Facebook, Instagram mission, like, and we're not perfect, Sometimes we would doom scroll, but then we had one of our companions say, "Hey, stop that," and then okay, we were good. But just imagine if we were alone, and you see all that doom scroll, and like, my goal is to bring the 2000s back. I know that's gonna be impossible, like
That
when
was
you
like
went
the
to
best
school,
time,
like
dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
you went to gym class, you did the little rainbow parachute, like the little clock. Now, dude, our generation is cooked,
We're
bro.
cooked, bro.
Dude, people can't even read an analytical clock, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy, bro.
my point, dude, I'm saying this out of love for my brothers and sisters, and even me. I have a lot of work to do as well, but it's like strive. I say this: aim for the sun, aim for the stars. And if you fail, you'll land on the moon and stars. I think I said that right. I don't know if I said that right,
Aim
but
for the
like
aim for
aim high.
the aim for the stars, hit the moon, and you know,
If you fail, like
if you
so
fail,
like
you hit the moon. So at least you hit
yeah,
higher,
it's
right?
like yeah, and that's my main point. Like I want to bring nuclear families back, and I
Yeah.
know nowadays, like especially like let's say the goal, like, cause in our church, bro, people get married within 2 weeks to 6 weeks is the earliest
So
I've ever
fast,
seen.
bro.
It's really there's a reason why in Idaho they call it BYU I do. There's a reason why that's a thing. And like I get it, you guys are gonna probably both have to work at a certain point, but the goal is to have the wife work electively. If she wants to work, that's fine. Every family has their own little way they want to do it, but the goal is to have the mothers be mothers. Mothers, I don't think mothers get enough credit. I think mothers is probably one of the most important things you could ever do in this life. The
Yeah.
role of a mother is now gone because it's a full-time job. That's why nannies are a thing now because
Yeah.
it's hard. Like the goal
And
for the man and the how the head of the household, you know, both of you are gonna be working. Sucks a little bit, but the goal is for the man to be the breadwinner, so he can delegate and lead his household, and the mother to nurture and care for her children, just so like it says in the family proclamation.
yeah.
We both, like I say this, men and women are not equal because we're different, but we're equal in value. We have different roles. She's good at stuff and that I'm not good at, and vice versa. Like for example, women are more social. Like you want to drop off your kid to a daycare full of men. Frick
Yeah, I wouldn't
that.
trust them. No,
Yeah,
I
it's
wouldn't do
weird,
that.
bro. It's like,
No.
yeah, and men are really good with working with things and like thinking logically for the most part.
Yeah.
They're good at that. They're good at really doing that.
I
And
feel like
once
I'm
the
like
two,
I feel like I'm like like a lot of people think they would have been like Joseph Smith, and I feel like I'm like Brigham Young, probably, like a little bit more. I'm like, yeah, 4 wives, let's do it, man. That sounds
yo,
awesome. What's up? Let's bring celestial
yo,
polygamy back. This is a hot take, y'all. Um,
astaghfirullah, brother.
I'm just being funny, guys.
Um, yeah,
But no, there's a quote from Dallin H. Oaks, and he says this. He says, "Feminism is clearly a point of danger to the church because it draws the daughters of God away from a perception, or it distorts perceptions about things that are very important eternally, marriage and family and responsibilities to posterity and so on." So and this was from he did an interview with PBS. They did a documentary in 2007, and that's a quote from Dallin H. Oaks. So feminism is clearly a danger to the church. I would say, yeah, like you said, I think feminism's the biggest danger to the women, and then pornography would be the biggest danger to the men, right? Because pornography makes you super weak and emasculate. I mean, it literally turns you into a cuck,
And it's just
and
disgusting because
it's
the thing.
disgusting. Yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off because when you view pornography, this is like any addiction, right? Once you start like let's take caffeine for example, you need to up the dosages to get off, right? And with
yep,
pornography, you start to become so desensitized to this thing. You have to do crazy things. And once you start dating girls while doing that, you treat them like objects. You treat them like, oh, you don't know how to talk to them. You look at them in a different way. Even if you don't do it at first, its ugly head comes showing out one way or another. That's why, if any girl, any young woman, if a guy is really struggling with pornography, don't marry him. Do not marry this man. I'm not saying don't date him, but do not marry a man who is struggling or has a severe addiction to pornography. I get it, we're not perfect. It happens, but do not marry a man who could not control his wee wee. And for the men, do not marry a woman that is not willing to go above and beyond for you, because it will hurt you. It will hurt you. It will hurt both of them. And that's just my main take. Because
yeah,
like
I agree with you.
pornography. I think I love when Ella Moulding. Shout out to her. She talks a lot about pornography, and we need to bring more shame to pornography, not shaming the
Yes,
people, looking at the sin. A lot of people who are suffering kind of look at the sin like it's a part of them. No, we're not saying that, right? We're saying that the act and the creation of pornography is evil and sick.
yeah,
You need help. Let us help you. Let us be brothers and sisters. There's a reason why we
yeah.
call it, Brother
Well,
Lopez,
do you
Brother Henry.
do you know why so many you know why so many people are struggling with it now, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously there's certain things like the access to it is it's free, but I would say really what it is when you do that act where you watch this thing, you watch somebody doing sexual acts, and then you masturbate, you're literally allowing demons to come into you and possess your body. I know that sounds crazy to say, but that's the truth. Is like you're literally allowing, because think about it, you're just allowing an evil influence or spirit to take over your body, right? And that's why people are having such a hard time stopping, is because they've created almost like this demonic connection, right, with their phone, with these videos, right? And so it's literally this, and people are so afraid to talk about it that then they just repeat, 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 repeat. Why do you think we're seeing so much transgenderism? Is because they're watching this stuff, bro. Like, and so like, yeah, that's
yeah,
the
and it's
message,
like
guys. Get some
what,
help if you need it. Like,
and it's crazy because like Kai recently did a interview with forgot this guy on oh, what was it? It was some interview where like he was saying like the world would be better off, go to the gym, stop drinking, and don't have sex before marriage. And the guy goes like, oh, that's just boring. And I find it so sad, and this is unfortunately the sad reality, that people really do think that's boring. People think Christians, and when people are praying in public in Utah, people are laughing at them. Stand strong, brethren and sisters. Stand strong, because the world, like, I love this. Yay, quote this. People think we're crazy because we live in a full world full of lies, and we just tell the truth.
yeah, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set ye free.
Mhm.
So I think too, the issue in the church is we're not having these conversations. Like, do you know how hard it was for me to like find somebody to have this conversation with, bro? Like, that was even
Yeah,
willing
it's
to
like,
talk to me about this without freaking out and having an emotional reaction because I brought up a historical atrocity, or because I talked about a sensitive topic like pornography or something, right? Like, we're not even having these conversations. So until we can get people to have these conversations, nothing's going to change. And so that's all I'm trying to do. I'm like, look, dude, I'm a fool for the Lord. Okay. I'm just like, put me in, coach. I want to play on the team. Just come on, coach. Let me, like, I know I'm stupid. I know I say dumb stuff. I know I'm not very smart, but like, put me in, Um, and so, yeah, we need to invite other people to do that and to be unafraid to speak the truth, right? Because if you walk in the truth, you shouldn't be afraid, even if it is a sensitive topic, because the Spirit will eventually guide you to what the truth actually is.
And it takes courage, right? Being the only one saying these things, even in a church, it's fine. Like I get it, but being the only one to stand up, that takes courage. I'm not saying it's a small thing, but like do what's right, right? Because my biggest fear, I got this from David Goggins. The Lord is showing you a judgment day.
Mm.
Jay, this could have been you, but because we have agency, and that's why the world is so broken, you were this. That David Goggins is my biggest fear, because am I doing enough? That should always be on your mind every single day. Am I doing enough? Could I be doing better? 1% better every day, man. No matter how small or how big, 1% small goes a long way. And I think people need to keep that mentality. Am I doing enough? Am I panicking? Like you need to be panicking mode because we are in the latter days. We are in the final days, like the second coming. What are some of the things? There's going to be storms. There's going to be wars. There's going to be an attack on the American Constitution. It's kind of already happened now.
Yeah, it's been under attack for a while now. We're living in the last days, guys. So if anybody's out there listening, I hope you learned something today. I hope that we are able to share something that can give you courage to stand up and speak the truth, no matter where. And it doesn't matter how small you are, right? What matters is that we take a stand where God has placed us, because we never know how our actions are going to help or affect somebody else. And so I want to just end with that and the call to be of good cheer, brethren, right? Like
And
the
real quick,
world.
Christopher,
Yeah,
real
go
quick
ahead.
before you end.
Go ahead, Jay.
And this isn't only pertaining to my Latter-day friends. This pertains to the Christians, Protestants, Lutheran, all of Christ people, even the Muslims, man. Do your best to strive and center your life around God and Christ. Do the best. I invite all my Latter-day Saints to make an effort to make it to the temple at least once a month. To my Muslim friends, go to the mosque as much as possible, and even my Jewish friends, man, go to synagogue, praise God, make God the center of your life. Charlie Cook did, and it blessed in so many. Unfortunately, he was assassinated, but his ideology will never die. His ideology will never die. Make sure once you keep Christ in the center, things will fall into place.
Yes. That's the key. It's to put Christ at the center, right? And I feel like if we can do that, then it'll all work out, right? We are going to face some hard times though in this country. There is going to be wars. There's going to be all kinds of things that go on and happen that are not going to be fun. But if we can keep Christ at the center of the helm, right, then we can cast out any of those evil influences that we've been talking about today. And that's the only thing I've found. And that's why my name is so significant to me, because my name, Christopher, it comes from the Greek, Christophoros, or however you say it, which means bearer of the anointed one. So that's who I am. I'm the bearer of the anointed one. But I'm not always good at it, right? I'm imperfect. But I'm trying to put my imperfections on display for the world so that they can look to the real man who really matters, and that's Christ. Right? Like, dude, like I'm telling you, like all this stuff we're talking about, I was struggling with it, like pornography, whatever, alcohol, drugs, whatever. I've struggled with all of those things, right? And it was because I had this spiritual hole, and the only person that could fill it was Christ. And so if you guys will put that at the center, then America will be free and we will be a prosperous nation and good things will come to your life. And I say that in Christ's name, amen.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Do you have any last words to add, Jay, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, it's like, brothers and sisters, all my Christians and Muslims and my Jewish friends, stay to the word, read your scriptures, read your holy scriptures, pray every day, it's like do those things, you see someone in need, don't hesitate to help them. Do the best and become the best version of yourself so that you can teach the next generation how amazing it is to be a father and keep that going, keep that lineage going on and on and on.
Amen. Amen. So, well, thanks for coming on, Jay. Everybody, hope you we said something good that was maybe impactful for you. So, until next time, Nauvoo Legion.
Take care,
Bellamy
guys.
salute. We're out.